Howdy, bitches, bastards, pimps, and hoes, and other degenerate motherfuckers on YouTube whose names I still do not know. As I said earlier today, I was gonna do a video about the Inquisition where I was gonna use a paper that I wrote, and since the paper is about 7 pages long, I'm gonna have to break it up into probably 6 or 7 minute videos. So let's just get on with it. So, the Spanish Inquisition was a turbulent time in the grand scheme of things in Europe. It was a witch hunt. Jews and other non-believers in Christianity were subjected to horrendous treatment, and all of that was try to coax a conversion out of them. They were tortured mercilessly without reason, and many of them publicly converted to Christianity. But all of them resented having to change their religion. Jews, in particular, were severely mistreated during this time. And they were just tortured to try and convert them. The torture methods, of course, were heinous. Like the strappado, where someone was hung a few feet above the ground with weights on their feet, and they were dropped right before they hit the ground, and it would just rip the arms right out of the sockets, and it would just cause a lot of pain, and it was gruesome. And there was real no reason to this. It was just the religious persecution that the Christians were pulling. No other reason to do that than just to do it. The Spanish tickler, some of you may have heard of, was a torture device that was just ripping and tearing at the flesh. The Inquisition, the Inquisition as a whole, not just the Spanish Inquisition, but the Inquisition as a whole was started by Pope Innocent III. But the Inquisition that was really heinous and stuff was started by Pope Gregory IX. The Inquisition, the Inquisition was just started as a tribunal of Roman Catholic origin, but it just slowly degraded into he said, she said bullshit, where someone would accuse them and then they would get tortured. Those who were accused of heresy were sentenced to an auto de fe, which is an act of faith. In 1481, the Inquisition started in Spain. It surpassed the medieval Inquisition because it was more widespread and was more intense. It was just crazier than the other Inquisitions. Conversos were the big targets, only seconded by new Christians. And conversos, as far as I could find, were people who were Jewish but kept it hidden that they were Jewish. And new Christians were people that had already converted to Christianity publicly. And they were both targeted because they had ties to the Jewish community, and of course the conversos were still part of the Jewish community. But they weren't the only targets. Muslims were targeted because many of them converted. Queen Isabella, she feared the Jewish influence, so her and her king sent a note to the Pope, which asked for permission to start a Inquisition in Spain. And Tomás de Torquemada, who's been lampooned in Mel Brooks's History of the World Part 1, was given free reign as the Inquisitor General in Spain. Two other leaders of the Inquisition were two Dominican monks, namely Miguel de Morelo and Juan de San Martin. On the list of people wanted by the tribunals were, as stated before, the Conversos, the Secret Jews. Seville was one of the first sites of the auto de fe's and all of that. Seville saw many Conversos lose their lives. 700 were burned at the stake. 5,000 were spared that horror by repenting. And honestly, it was an offer they couldn't refuse. I mean, if you had to choose between your faith and living, once you choose living over your faith, um, Aragon, Catalonia, Valencia were the next on the tribunal list. Um, and the tribunals were set up to punish the wicked. Ciudad Real, 100 conversos were condemned. Then it was moved to Toledo in around 4885. Barcelona was one of the toughest cities to Inquisition because the conversos were such a big part of the economy of Barcelona. 1531, Pope Leo X extended the Inquisition to Portugal because thousands of Jews fled Spain because of the Inquisitions, and also due to the 1492 expulsion of the Jews from Spain. Spanish-style Inquisitions were set up in many cities in Portugal, and of course many of the more famous people were killed during the Inquisition. The Inquisition was never abated in Spain and was continued into the 18th century, so it would span a wide time. During the second half of the 18th century, that it had the Spanish Inquisition abated. It abated during the 18th century, during that last half, because of lack of resources and the availability of enlightened ideas. It wasn't abolished until 1808, which was during the short reign of Joseph Bonaparte. But I think I'll leave it there for now. So, peace, love, harmony, and hopefully this shit doesn't happen again. I wouldn't count on it, though. This shit'll probably happen again. Inquisition out.